Hello, good evening. Hi, great people. Welcome back to a place where we usually meet, encourage, challenge, motivate one another. The Well Show, your partner in growth, in encouragement. We are always here to sharpen one another. And I want to to welcome you to this amazing show where we always come and get excited about life. And this night, let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know how the sound is because it's amazing. It's another day that we are here to keep sharpening ourselves. This is Sam, your host, and I'm excited to be here again. Let us know how you are getting us. Drop a comment there, drop a text there. Tell us how we can make this show better because we value your comment. We value your feedback. Thank you. Last week we were here and we started a very interesting topic that was personal growth, and we looked at about 7 pillars that can shape how we can grow. You know, the foundations of personal growth, or what I would call the place when we draw the excitement of desiring to break the norm of living a boredom life, of living, just a kawaida life. And today we want to take that to a much higher ground, or a higher note, in terms of looking at, the dimensions of personal growth. We'll call them dimensions, we can call them stages, we can call them phases, we can call them keys, areas that you need to check on when we talk about the personal growth. You cannot grow yourself. You need to have a name, you need to have a direction, you need to have a focus, you need to know what leads to what. When you're setting about targets, remember last week you're talking about having plan and having targets. So you're planning, you're planning for what, against what, and why. So I felt it's good to look at, 5 areas that you need to be concerned how you're growing, how you're developing in them, because they make the you. The component you. There are parts that makes you. How do you balance these parts? How do you make sure that all these parts of you are growing together? That you find we have different people in terms of coach. We have spiritual coaches. We have in terms of reverence, in terms of pastors. We have financial coaches who will help you to grow in the finances. So it means they are component we need to grow, and making sure that we are thriving on them. So our evening discussion, our today's discussion, we'll be looking at the dimensions of growth that you need to be concerned, and you need to make sure that you're giving attention to them and having objective towards them, having a mission towards each and every area of your growth, so that you don't forget one part of your life. You can be very well in terms of career, but you are not doing well when it comes to social. You're not doing well when it comes to your emotions. So how do you strike a balance to live a well-balanced life? And that will be a motivation tonight. Now, dimension number 1 of a personal growth is a spiritual growth, what we call spirituality. Your well-being in terms of your spiritual, in terms of making sure that there is a good relationship between you and your maker, that you're a spirit being. That place of understanding that I acknowledge God in my life. I always say that spiritual growth of your life needs to be number 1 of all the things that you do. And when I talk about spiritual growth, is a place when you have an intentionality of growth when it comes to the things of the kingdom. I'm a Christian and I facilitate, and I'm a great campaigner of Christianity and God-like kind of life. So you understand that life is God-given. Your revelation of who God is in your life determines what you can reveal in this world. The match that you carry, you must be able to understand the manufacturer and how he wired you up and how he installed softwares. There is a book I'm writing and there is a topic I'm dealing with, that there are people who have great software within them, but they have never been activated. They have never been updated. So the moment I'm talking about spirituality is a place when you have someone, and this someone is God. This is where God come and activate. This is a place where that He start now revealing who you are in life. He able to reveal your purpose. He's able to reveal why you are here. He's able to give meaning into your life. If you get it right in the spiritual angle, that's a place when you get the peace, the joy, the happiness that is not given by things, is not given by people. So as we're talking about your spiritual, as we're talking about your personal growth, you must have an underlying factor and goal. How am I going to grow my spiritual life? How am I going to become better in my walk with God? How am I going to be better in my relationship with God? So personal growth, the foundation is what we are calling spiritual growth. Every individual who believes, and I want to say, you must be believing in something. In that thing that you believe, and I am 100% sure that the people who are listening to me, they believe in God, then you need to foster that relationship with God. Then much you know about Him will determine how much you can do in this life which He has given you. Do you have goals on how you're going to grow spiritually? Do you know investing time in reading the Word of God? I was posting something and it came too strong in my heart that you cannot overcome some challenges and some demons in our life and some satanic attacks with our knowledge and intellectual capacity and capability. We can only be able to overcome those satanic and devil attacks with what is written in the Word, the written one and the spoken word. What is written, and then we can speak it in our life. It is written that I can do all things. It is written, when you start speaking what the word what the word says about your life. What you can speak, you can possess. What you can possess, you can protect. So you need to make sure you are alert. And I want to say here that spiritual growth is not about somebody else's responsibility. It is not your pastor's responsibility. It is not your mother's responsibility. It's not your father. It is a personal responsibility that you take. I want to invest in studying the Word of God. We have people who probably they wait to hear from other people. Don't wait to consume from other people. Get that book. Read it. Read it, consume what is there, empower the inner man. The inner man sets free, set the foundation, set the place of, it gives you the fallback of moving on with life. So spiritual growth, it's very key for every man who wants to overcome this life. Remember, all the other factors that we're going to talk about, they are so much, much dependent on our ability. But spiritual growth is not about our ability. It's about our partnership with God. When we are able to partner with God and tell God, what, I can't do this life alone. We need to do with you. And because He's the author and the finisher of our life, and our faith and the good job that He has started. So we allow Him to be part of doing this life. So if you want to do life well, then you must make sure that you are Team God. That is the only best way you can live this life. When we will talk about career, we'll talk about emotions, we'll talk about finances, all those other dimensions of growth, they are so much connected with your spirituality. The place when you can have moment to meditate and see the goodness of God in your life. It helps you to feel good about yourself. Most of the time we complain of the things we don't have, but we don't see the grace that God has given us. That all of us, no one who deserved what we have. It's only by the grace of God that we are where we are today. It's by the grace of God, even we can start thinking on where we want to go. So our spiritual growth must be very clear on us. And I want also to say here, you also need to have a discerning spirit so that you are able to consume from the right well. You are able to consume from the right source. It's not everybody who talks about God, they mean God. So you need to have that discernment spirit to know even the things you are reading, the things you are hearing. Do you know the things you are able to access? Are you accessing the right information? Are you accessing the right food, the right stuff for the inner man to grow? Because also there are people who they have taken advantage of the desire for people to grow spiritually, and they have manipulated. They have manipulated people. They have taken advantage of people. And eventually, by the time you're realizing someone took advantage of you, you become frustrated. You hate God. You're like, my friend, and let me tell you this. You hating God does not change the personality and the ability and the power and who God is. So you need to understand when us become so agitated, like, do you know, I expected God to do this for me and he did do it for me. The place of us maturing to be able to know, what do I require in my life? I'll mention 3 things that as far as I can. When you have given the right attention to your spiritual growth, there are 3 things will be very clear in you. Number 1, you'll be very mature to understand your season. There are people who in life, they don't understand which season they are. There are moments you'll understand, I'm in the season of being sharpened, a season of being refined. And I'm not complaining, I'm not murmuring. I know this is my season. I have lost job, but I know within myself there is a quietness. I can feel a bit of peace in me because I know there is something God is working for me. It looks like a battle, but in this battle there is something God telling me I'm doing. You know, mastering of your season comes when you have understood your spiritual level. You are not living a life by surprise. The moment you grow into a level where you understand, you can even know this is a season that I need to start planning for my finances. Because if I don't know, there is a dry season that is coming. You become a lot of things. You become a lot of people. You become a lot of relationships. There's season you get and you start knowing this is a time you need to separate yourself. There's disconnections that I need to have. There are disassociations that I need to start working on myself so that I can create a space for something new in my life. So the moment you understand your spiritual growth, you're able to master your season. Number 2, and very key, the moment you have grown to a certain level when it comes to spirituality, then you have understood your season. Then number 3, you are able to develop patience. The greatest value, and also praying for myself, is a place of waiting, patience. Be having people who want a microwave kind of life. Born today, as they say, Simon Makonde, born today, a whole 1 week, you have everything. Life is a process. And actually, our God is God of process. I try to imagine the 6 days that God took to create the world and everything that is in it. I believe because he was speaking, he could have used the same words to do everything within, a snap of a finger. And everything will be there. But there is something he was showing us. The introduction of us and God, it is God of order. The first day he created. The second day he created. He had the ability to create everything with one word. But he wanted to show us that as I'm introducing myself as a working God, he's introducing us to a process. Majority of us they're living a frustrated life because either we set too high goals or too high expectation without having clear plans and processes to getting there. And when those things don't happen, we get frustrated. A young man meet a young girl and they want, they meet today and everything fall in place. There is no process of building a strong foundation. You want to start a business today and tomorrow you want to make 100% profit. You want to start a company and in the next day you have to have an international kind of outlook of a company. It doesn't happen like that. It is a slow but sure process because we know he who had started a good job in us will finish it. There is a certain confidence that comes with patience. The days of waking early in Geshagi, and you're using that kind of a kitchen where probably when it rains and the fireplace it is wet, but you have to make sure that you have lit the fire. Put a sufuria water, quite a process. The days of just switching on and off in this life, I think we are done with. Is a place of coming to a place. God, give me the patience to handle each day in my life. The moment you find there is an issue with patience and waiting, go back to the place of your spiritual growth, the place of understanding your place in God, the place of understanding who am I in Him. Because when I understand who am I in Him, I'll be able to know that nothing happened outside His knowledge. So the only best thing I can do is falling into His knowledge. Okay? That's very clear, my viewers. So master your season, develop an attitude of patience and waiting, because it's very key. And then product number 3, when you have matured in terms of spiritual growth, then you become accountable and responsible. One of the biggest challenge we have with our generation is accountability. We want to live a life and we don't want to be accountable. I always say this: before you can ask God for something, it's very important to report what you did with what He gave you. We have a mentality of asking. But also God wants people who have grown to a place we can be accountable. If you can be accountable with God, you can be accountable with the finances. You can be accountable with your own body. You can be accountable with your own career. The people that they're struggling with other areas of accountability, we need to check the accountability with God. When you go to God and tell God, Father, I need a relationship, He'll ask you, the ones that I have given you, how well have you handled them? Are you responsible with that which, are you a steward on that which God has given you? If today God have given you a small job and we are here complaining and murmuring and telling God, for how long am I going to remain in this same state? How well are also we telling God, God, the little that you have given me, I have done exceedingly. Look at what Jesus said. He said this: Father, I have glorified you. So now it's your time to grow. Can we be accountable to a place of saying, God, I have done what was expected of me. I have done what you wanted me to do. Now I'm coming to you as a mature son, and I'm praying that, God, I take me to the next level, because you are accountable, you are mature, and you have handled that which God have given you. There are people who believe they live by luck. Nimeangukia. There are people who believe in falling. Let me use the word falling, like kuangukia. Ameangukia ka job, ameangukia ka relationship. God does not work with kuangukia. God works with being accountable for what He gave you, being responsible for what He gave you, then He can take you to the next glory. The Bible says that God shall take us from one glory to another. God does not, manipulate system. Unless you qualify, and in the place of qualification is doing what pertains to that glory and exhausting that glory so that you can go to the next grace and glory. I hope I'm clear. Tonight, brothers and sisters, we need to reflect back on our walk with God. We need to ask ourselves, does God become the center of our life? Does God become the true definition of everything that we do? Does God become the true definition of finance? Does God become the true definition of our career? Does God become a true definition of how we are living this life? I hope I'm clear on that. That is dimension number 1, spirituality growth. You need to set goals on how you're going to grow. You can set goals on, your prayer life, your fasting life, your meditation life, your study the word. You need to consume the word until you get to a place where I always say this, that you need to become a walking Bible. When people, they see you, they don't have to read the verse about hope. They can see hope. When they see you, they see faith. They are more convinced when they see. And I always say the greatest way to preach is not through words, is through action. Allow me to stop on that when it comes to faith, when it comes to the spiritual dimension growth. Now, let me go to the dimension number 2. And dimension number 2 is financial stability and growth. You want to grow personal development? You cannot grow when you cannot meet your needs. Financial growth, it is, they move hand in hand. You cannot be speaking in tongues all through and you're not paying your bills. It's quite hard because we are there. But you know what? Speaking in tongues, faith and hope does not pay a house rent. What pay house rent is money. Actually, the purpose of faith, it is transacting the heaven, because the currency of heaven is faith. But the currency here on earth, it is money, dollar, or euro. So you need to, or pounds, you need to understand that you need to translate faith into action, and the action is a place of financial stability. You need to have goals when it comes to finances. How are you going to grow yourself? You cannot live in the place of lack in the whole life. You cannot live in a place of struggling. You need to have very clear, systematic objectives, how to liberate yourself from, poverty, vicious cycles, the place where you can be able to have, is it a job that I'm going to look? Is it a small business I'm going to start? Is it my finances? Am I going to put a clear financial policy? So it's very important when it comes to having to grow your finances. And because I want to be very clear on the finances, I'm going to look at 4 or 5 points that will help us to make sure that we are growing financially. Number 1, do we have financial goals or objective? That's number 1. In terms of how much in the next 1 year, where do you want to be in terms of your financial stability? Probably today, you're operating on 10,000 per month. It is good to challenge yourself and tell yourself, next year, I want at least to get to 15,000 or 20,000. Setting, specific and measurable goals when it comes to finances. That you can be able to say, my financial goal for this year, I want to make sure if I'm earning 15,000, whether I'm employed, I need to work very well so that I can get a promotion, or probably I need to start a side hustle. If I'm doing a business, I want to make sure that I'm able to balance my balance sheet very well, that, at least in the loss part or the, the spending part, it is lesser than what I'm getting in, so that at least when I'm doing the balance sheet, there is something substantial that remains. Do you have a financial goal, or whatever comes is okay? If last month you're doing 15,000 and this month you do 10,000, do you get hard on yourself and ask yourself, what have I done to get that decline? What have I done to get that negative margin? Financial objective. Is it clear to you that you are pushing yourself to grow? If you are self-employed, are you pushing yourself either by getting a new client or probably getting a new hustle so that you can increase your financial inflows? Remember this, most of the times in life, we will always have more outflows than inflows. You'll get what you're getting is not equivalent to what you want to spend. So there is a need of concentrating on enlarging your inflows. And this time I'll ask you, what are you doing extra? What are you think you can do extra to earn a coin? To earn a coin. That is very key. Because majority of us will always complain that it is not enough. And I'll say this, money is not enough and it will never be enough. So when it's not enough, I will say this, you're also not doing enough to get what is enough. So have a very clear financial objective and set it. You can say, I want to increase my income, whether employed or self-employed, by 10%. Then down there, write your 3 or 4 objectives on how you're going to do. Then you go to point number 2. Do you spend wisely? There are people who earn money, and they're earning good money. But when you look at their priority in the line of spending, you'll find there are challenges. And when it comes to spending, sometimes we spend with class and stature. Sometimes we spend to maintain a certain look out there. So you'll find whatever you are getting, you are almost spending even what you have not earned to maintain a certain standard. You're earning certain amount of money and you want to actually get that you're getting to an estate, or you're going to a location where probably you're spending everything you're earning with your rent, or probably you're spending everything you're earning with your dressing, or probably you are earning everything you have with partying and grooming and the rest. So you find, are you spending wisely? Are you making informed financial decisions? There is nothing in terms of big money or small money. There is nothing like large or small money. Every money that comes in your life can transform you when you approach it with an open mind and with objectivity and understanding that from this I can grow to the next level. Our biggest challenge, and that's why we're here, you find that people who have lived in the same ground or in the same level when it comes to finances, because the issue that they can grow their finances, but they have an issue with spending wisely. And I'll say this, for you to spend wisely, number one, or rather Roman 1, develop a priority list on your spending. Number 2, develop a budget. What is your monthly budget? How much? Then from your priority list, you can see what you can do without. There are things we have to, and there are things we want to. Sometimes at certain age in life, you realize there are things I want to, but I cannot do them now. So I'll do without, because they are wants, they are not needs. They are not needs. And that is the place when you understand how to deal with your finances. There are things you can postpone spending on. There are places when you can take, when you're budgeting and you'll be able to say, I've been spending 100,000 taking my kids to school. It's good, but you're struggling. Is it worth for you to take them to a school worth 70 or 60,000 and cut the budget? They'll still get the same education. They still get the same, and I'll say this, sometimes we are paying for a name. It's not the service. Their services, the institution where you pay for the name, not actually the service. It's for the name. So you can still get the same service, probably to somewhere there is not that name. You can allow yourself. That's a place when I say you need to make informed decision when it comes to finances, so that you can grow your finances. You can break the vicious cycle of earning and spending. At ukapata emergency of 500 within a week, you'll always get stress. I know it is not easy, but I always say this. Every time I'm teaching about financial literacy, I always say this. Saving and setting a certain amount of money is not about how much you did. It's about building that culture of saving. You can actually build a culture of saving by saving 1 shilling. And I want to give you a very simple scenario. If you want to start saving, don't do long-term savings. Along the way, you'll get discouraged. Could you have the purpose of saving? It's having an end goal. I can decide to do a 3-month saving. If you can do a 3-month saving with an objective, I'm going to save 20 shillings per day for the next 3 months. After I have done that, get that money with an objective. I wanted to save and do this. Then if you can do 3 months, then you can do 6 months, then you can take it to 1 year, then you can go to 3 years. But you started with a simple plan. A simple plan. Don't be complicated. We need to bring this information to very consumable places. Don't be shocked by those people who say, I save 20,000 per year, or rather per month or per week. It's okay. Everybody in this life, they have their place. They have where they started it. So you want to grow your finances, make sure that you're making very simple, elaborate goals that can motivate you to maintain that behavior. We always say this in psychology. When you're developing a new behavior, you must get way to get excited and motivate you so that you keep on doing the same thing so that it can become a habit and a behavior. Oh, I'm clear. The finances, you need to make sure you have a clear objective on finances. Then you need to make sure you're wise, you're spending wisely. And then number 3, you need to make sure you are saving. Saving is key. You cannot grow without watering a tree. A tree can never grow without water. It can never grow without taking care of it. The same thing, even your financial policy, your financial goal, you need to make sure you are always ahead. You're always asking yourself, if tomorrow comes, what am I going to do? If you can be able to deal with your tomorrow today in terms of finances, then I'm telling you, it will be very easy for you to live your next year in this year when it comes to finances. The little that you're earning, whether it's 700 shillings per day, whether you're a MJ guy, you're getting 800 shillings, you're getting 500 shillings, you're getting 350, you can start building a policy. The issue of a policy is not the content, because it's a policy, we put the content based on our ability. Everybody, they have their own ability. I have my own ability. Remember, in this show, we have discussed most of the time, we are not in comparison with others. Start building that your own life. Start building that which one you want. Start building the kind of life that you want, where you can be proud of, where you are the master, where you are the CEO. You are letting everything work. How small is it? But it is important for you to give the attention that is required for you to grow. I hope I'm clear on that. When it comes to the finances, make sure you have a very clear objective. Make sure you're spending wisely. Make sure you are saving. And when you're spending wisely, you have priority and you have a budget. It will throw you. It will be able to propel you to higher levels. And point number 4 when it comes to finances, is very important to understand this, that money will never be enough. That one I want to submit to you. Money will never be enough. When you get 2,000, you want to get 3,000. When you're getting 3,000, what happens is there are people who increase their spending based on their earning. When I'm talking about that money will never be enough, you need to strike a balance that even when money is not enough, that money does not become a place of breaking who you are. Even as you're growing your financial, you also need to have values and principles and standards that I cannot do other things which are not according to our dimension number 1, spiritual growth, observing the rules of the game, understanding the rules of the kingdom, that there are things I cannot do so that I grow myself financially. And when I say this is because you have realized there are people who have gotten to a place, their life is determined by money. They can do anything to get money. They can do anything so that they feel they're living a certain kind of life. My friend, live according to your means so that you avoid a lot of pressure. You avoid unnecessary, crooks and hooks ways that we have done for long so that we maintain a certain kind of life. It is good to earn 500 shillings genuinely than get 10,000, which you are, they are not blessing into it. So even as we are teaching financial literacy, in the Well Show, we always say this: we must follow the principles and the values. We must stand for what is right. Even what we earn, we must earn it the right way. We cannot engage in dubious ways, so that we make money, to maintain a certain class, to maintain a certain level. As much as we want to spend, as much as we have goals, as much as we want to feel good in this life and take dominion and authority, we must always observe the rules of the game. I hope I'm clear on that. Then dimension number 3, it is the physical growth. The physical growth. Now, when I talk about the physical growth, which is very, very key, physical growth, I would say your image. I would say your image, your appearance, and the rest. But, and when I talk about image, your image as a place of growth, your image talks much about you. Your image dictates so much the people you associate with, the kind of place that you go, the kind of favor that you get. Sometimes people will say that it's not how I dress that I get the favor. But I'll say this: your dressing opens doors for you because you dress the way you want to be addressed. Your image is your signature. Once you have said so many things, people would only want to see how do you look. Your looks opens great doors for you. You want to grow yourself, you also need to grow the way you look like. You need to make sure that how is your body in terms, are you doing exercise? Are you feeding your body well? Are you taking care of how you look? You cannot be ignorant. Me, I don't care how I look. I find these two cliches that majority of people are using. One, they say, me I don't care, tukifika mbinguni tutapatiwa new bodies. But my friend, this body that you need, you want it here. This is where it's supposed to be operating. Number two, me I don't care what people say about me. I don't care what people they see about me. My friend, when we are talking about growth, you want to grow, whether it is a business, you attract who you are. You cannot assume your image and think you're going to attract something above your image. I would say this, there is a connection. There is a certain synergy between your image and what you attract. So when you are growing, even the kind of associations, even the kind of friends, even the kind of marketing you do, even the kind of jobs that you get, I'm telling you, your image talks a lot. As you're growing spiritual, as you're growing finances, you must also, in your financial dimension, you should have a budget on how dressing well, looking well is not about money. It's not about expensive things. It's about having the right information. It's about knowing who you are and how you can gel. How you can create an image, a lasting image about you, a last image concerning yourself. So your physical appearance and physical growth is very key. Is very key. And tonight, my friends, I want to encourage one another, me in there, that we need to take care of our image. I would say this. Your image, how you look, will always attract like-minded people in that level. So you're looking for a job, start behaving like someone and walking like someone and dressing like someone. You cannot go in an interview, an official job. So you need to understand the dynamics of everything that you're packaging yourself in. Remember I said that you need to understand your season, which season you are in. If you're a season of looking for a job, then that means you need to dress like someone who can be trustworthy, like someone who can, you can appeal to people. And also, what kind of a job am I looking for? If you're looking for a job as an administrator, like a secretary, like a CEO in a company, like a marketer, you need to look yourself like, something that is, sellable, something, your visibility, your appearance, it talks about you. And I always say this, you should never express your season in your dressing. You should never express your problem. There are people who dress according to their problem. There are people who dress according to how they are feeling. Dressing has nothing to do with their feeling unless you're going for a date. Actually, the greatest way to hide your problems is the way you look like. And I want to say this, in life, because there will be seasons of, ups and downs, you need to create a certain image and maintain it that, people are not able to gauge you depending on how things are happening in your life. You'll hear people referring to, na saizi unaona kama umesota, because they look into you and they can associate your dressing with poverty. And there are moments you dress and they say, unakaa uko na kakitu. You need to create a lasting image because that is your signature. When you go to bank, you don't keep changing your signature. Actually, the moment you'll mess your signature, it is your money you can never access. It's the same thing happening in life. When you mess your image signature, there are places that you are supposed to be, but you never access them because you messed with your image. Your physical appearance is key. Take care of your grooming. Take care of your grooming. Make sure before you walk out of that house, you're looking nice. You are here, you are waiting for a man or a lady to come your way. And the way you are dressing like a father of 70 years. Or a lady of shosho. And you are like, I'm trusting you for a man. My friend, you need to look like one. You need to attract. Let me tell you. Look at flowers. For the pollination to take place, either in a tree that want to produce, it must look flowery. You must there is no in a season. Avocado, before they produce, they must look flowery. You must be able to know your season when you look flowery. Our biggest challenge is translating our mind to reality. And not having, a lazy mind in terms of what I'm supposed to do. So, brothers and sisters, tonight, we have an obligation of creating and desiring to grow in terms of our dressing, in terms of how we look like. Our physical appearance should be a goal in personal growth. The place where we visit also determines who we are. It is the place of physics. The place you cannot keep. The place you expose yourself really has much to do with the mindset that you develop. I always say things. Anything that you have ever desired in life is because you saw it. So that means the much you expose yourself, the much you allow yourself to learn more and to get more, is the foundation of you producing more. Anytime you'll stop exposing yourself, getting to new places, then I'll tell you, you live, a bored life. You live to a place whereby that there is nothing excites you. And you'll assume that's how life is. Those people who close themselves, they have a kind of a closed life. I'm telling you, those people most of the time, the pillar we are heading to in terms of emotional and psychological trauma and psychological, fluctuations and the rest, they really suffer a lot, because the moment you allow your ears to hear new things, your mind to see new things, what happens is they keep rubbing off that which we have held for long and has not been producing, has not been effective in us. So even sometimes you need to wake up in the morning and, visit a new place. The place of visiting that new place, something new comes in your mind. A new idea comes in mind. And that new mind propels you to growth, propels you to change. You'll go to a place and get a new seat and you're like, man, you know what? I need to change my sitting room. Why? There is something I saw. You'll get into a place and see a nice dress and say, there is something I want to change. That is a whole place of taking care of your physical growth. And physical is not about your body. Anything that is seeable. That's a place of physics. That is a place, even your house, taking care of it. Your house needs to be exciting. That the moment you get into your house, you feel like you're in a own state house, in quotes. Taking care of everything that you can see with your own eye. And pillar number 4, or dimension number 4 of personal growth, the area that you need to have objective when you're growing yourself, is the area of emotion, psychological well-being, what I would call the wellness. I would call it the wellness. And the wellness has to do with your body, your physical health, your emotional health, your psychological health, your mental health. The wellness of the totality of you being well, functioning well. Are you taking care of your emotions? Are you allowing yourself to get to a place whereby that I'm in control of my emotions? I know what I can deal with. I know what I cannot deal with. I know what makes me happy. I know what makes me sad. I know how to deal with those situations. When I'm hurt, I can deal with my feelings. I can deal with my emotion. Remember, we have dealt with emotion avoidance. We have dealt with dealing with emptiness. That place of, getting to a place of knowing the self. Appreciating the self, caring, taking care of the self, allowing your mental health to be at par with yourself. Sometimes you don't become a dumping site of everything. Every thought has to fall into your mind. Getting a place when you can block what cannot build you. Blocking anything that cannot sustain you. Blocking anything that can affect you. That's a place when you get to, understanding the well-being. It is a pillar that we need to work. It's a dimension we need to work on. There are people who they will get sick. They're not going to go to hospital. Taking care. You have no any other body to replace. You have nobody else to substitute when this body cannot function. Are you able to take care of yourself? Are you able to eat well and take care of that body? Are you able to make sure that you are giving what your body requires when probably you feel fatigued? Could you get a session to go and sit down so that you can rewind and rejuvenate, so that you can continue moving up with life? It is very key for us most of the time to be out there looking for money, to be out there looking for good image, but you are broken inside. Remember, I've said time and again here, there are people who look excellent from outside, but within them they are wounded, they are leaping, they are clogged. How do you get to that place? And remember, if you can be able to make sure you are well, anything else in your life, it's very easy to take shape. When you have taken care of your psychological well-being, the cognitive ability of your mind, it is right. You can reason well. You can be able to develop a self-control to things. You can be able to know how to react and act towards things and people. That place will help you to know the things you can associate with, the things you can handle, and the things you cannot handle. You cannot grow yourself and leave yourself behind. Carrying yourself through in life, it is very key and important. Those are very key dimensions of building ourselves. As you drop your comment there, as you drop your message there, you can take a moment and reflect and ask yourself, at this time, at this season, this is one area I have neglected in my life. And I will start going back and find, where did I lose the momentum of picking myself on that area? All of us, we are in a ladder of growing. Me, myself included. We are in a ladder of growing. The best thing is be able to be real to ourselves. There is nothing in terms of growth until you get to a place of admitting there is an area I need to start giving attention and growing myself. Could it be spiritual? Could it be financial? Could it be physical and image? Could it the wellness, our mind, our emotions, our psychological, our physical health? Is there an area that probably you have neglected and you feel, I would want to start going back there and picking myself? Those broken pieces coming together, they can make something excellent. They can build something awesome. It doesn't matter how much you're broken, you just need to go back there with willingness and intention. The intentionality of our heart and our mind, and being real to ourselves. The journey might be slow, but it is worth. I always say this, it is better to be slow, but taking action, rather than just sitting down and crying and murmuring and assuming and it can't help. What can help is facing your fears head on. The place I said this, you need to meet your challenge and challenge them until the challenge back and live in your life. It is possible for challenges in your life to surrender. And they say, man, we cannot penetrate there. Because everything lies and falls within you. Success lies within us. Failure lies within us. When we fail, we wake up. The power of a man is not, living standing, but rising up every time we fail. It's good to understand personal development. It is not a walk in the park. Sometimes you try at 1 year, 2 year, you get a relapse. It is okay. It is okay. You pick yourself, you move on. There are moments when you get bust up. You can sit down for a month. It is okay. But one thing you should never lose, it is focus. I say this and I want to, as I finish to say this, that put your eyes on the horizon and make sure your foot are strongly grounded on the ground. Put your eyes on the horizon, your feet on the ground. You might not be moving, but at least you have not lost focus. At least your eyes are fixed on where we are heading. Eventually, we'll get ourselves there. I want to encourage you tonight, start this journey of growing yourself. Get people who can help you, to unpack that which you are carrying. There are people who need a lot of mentorship. There are people who need a lot of coaching in one way or another. There are people who say that, you know what, I've tried, I cannot do this. I cannot do this better. You just need someone to come and open your mind. You just need someone to come and stir you up. And you realize you are blessed. You are packaged. You just need someone to trigger you and things will start popping out in your life. They say things, you never solve a problem in the same level it was created. Probably the place when you created a mentality you cannot grow. You cannot be able to undo that mentality. What you need to start hearing new message, new encouragement, new ways of doing things. Then it starts rubbing off that negativity you had, and eventually you build the new you, the new self that can take you to the next level. May you and I this evening take a moment of reflection and see how can we make our life better. From the Well Show, we guys love you so much. Please drop your comment there Tell us what we can do to make this show better. Make sure you are sharing this link. Make sure you are tweeting this link into your social medias, because we need to make this message out there. From us to you, we love you so much. We believe in you, and may God bless you for giving us a chance to always come and sharpen one another. We are because you are there. May God bless you. Until next week, same time, same place. God bless you and keep it safe. Make sure you always keep it locked at The Well Show.